Tonight, 3 more months in the saddle as President Muhammadu Buhari extends tenure of Muhammad Adamu as the Inspector General of Police. Primate of the Anglican Church, Reverend Henry Ndukuba, advocates state policing to end insecurity in the country. Global campaign to raise awareness in the fight against cancer continues as the world commemorates World Cancer Day. And U.S. President Joe Biden delivers his first foreign policy address to move beyond Trump's America First approach to the world. Plus business, sports, and later international news from our London studios.
On business news tonight, federal government launches the 2 last schemes of the MSME Survival Fund aimed at reducing the impact of COVID-19 on small businesses.
On sports news tonight, former Super Eagles striker Odion Ighalo joins Saudi Arabian Pro League club Al Shabab on a 2.5-year deal after loan spell at Man United.
And from Abuja, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, tells Federal High Court Abuja that Faisal, son of the former chairman of the defunct Pension Reform Task Team, Abdurrashid Maina, is on the run to the United States of America.
The President today extended the service of the Inspector General of Police, Muhammad Adamu, by 3 months. Mr. Muhammad Adamu completed his statutory 35 years of service as a civil servant on Monday, February 1st. He was born in 1961, which means he will be 60 years old in September. He joined the Nigeria Police Force in 1986 and was appointed Acting Inspector General of Police in January 2019, following the statutory retirement of his predecessor, Ibrahim Idris. President Muhammadu Buhari's directive on the extension of the IGP's service was announced by the Minister of Police Affairs, Maigari Dinyadi, at a press conference in Abuja today. He says the extension will give government ample time to select a competent successor.
Mr. President has decided that the present IGP, Muhammad Adamu, will continue to serve as the IG for the next 3 months to allow for a robust and efficient process of appointing a new IG. I think this is not unconnected with the desire of Mr. President to not only have a smooth handover, but to also ensure that right officer is being appointed into that position.
Meanwhile, human rights lawyer Mike Ozekome has faulted the president's decision to extend the tenure of the IGP. Mr. Ozekome, who gave his views on Channels Television's Politics Today, said the president was wrong to have extended the tenure of the IGP since he has attained the mandatory age of retirement. He described the president's action as unconstitutional, illegal, and unlawful.
Mr. President cannot even single-handedly appoint an Inspector General of Police, as we have been saying. He cannot. He must do so in full consultation and at a meeting with the Nigeria Police Council, which is established under paragraph 27 of the 3rd schedule to the 1999 Constitution. But what we have been seeing is actually a situation of arbitrariness, capriciousness, and whimsicality when Mr. President will usually single-handedly appoint an Inspector General of Police. In fact, Section 216, subsection 2 says he can also not dismiss or remove an IGP without going through the Nigerian Police Council. Mr. President's action is patently, glaringly illegal, unconstitutional, even unconscionable, to me immoral. The reason I use the word immoral is because you are denying other members of the Nigerian police force who are also aspiring to go up to become Inspector General. You are You are preventing them from moving up. So they are wrong in the eye of the law. We do not have an Inspector General of Police at all, because the last one has retired by a fraction of time, statutorily and constitutionally. So Mr. President cannot, by an administrative fiat, recreate the law or remake the law. The only organ that can make the law is the National Assembly under Section 15, subsection 2 of the Constitution, dealing with its powers to make laws concerning the Nigerian police.
The president also made another critical decision today as he forwarded the names of the immediate past service chiefs to the Senate, nominating them as non-carrier ambassadors designate. The president said in a letter to the Senate President, Ahmed Lawan, that his request is in line with Section 17 of the 1999 Constitution. The nominees are General Abayomi Olonishakin, Lieutenant General Tuku Burete, Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, and Air Vice Marshal Muhammad Usman. Their nomination comes less than a week after they were relieved of their duties and new service chiefs appointed. A statement from the president's spokesperson says he has asked the Senate to give expeditious consideration to the nomination. To the rising tension over the unending herder-farmer conflicts in some parts of the country, the primate of the Anglican Church, Most Reverend Henry Ndukuba, has called for the urgent establishment of state police as a panacea to the security challenges. The Anglican primate made the call today when he visited Governor Nasir El-Rufai of Kaduna State at Government House, Kaduna, where he also called for the suspension of the ECOWAS Treaty on free movement of persons and goods, which he notes is largely responsible for the growing security challenges in Nigeria. He notes that reviewing the ECOWAS Treaty will curb the influx of criminal elements into the country, and the establishment of community policing will bring security closer to the people than the present system.
Except something is done radically differently, we may not see an end to this issue. So it is good that the presidency has already appointed new service chiefs, but we are thinking that much more needs to be done. The service chiefs must be given the opportunity to put into action their expertise and given the free hand to operate. One thing that we must need to address very seriously is the issue of gun control. The way the guns are flying across our borders and things, and how do they get their guns? How do they get all that they are using? I think there is need for a serious security rejigging. We must first be safe before we can think of good governance. So, or even progress, or even development in the West African region. Let security be tackled.
Meanwhile, there's been yet another attack in Kaduna State, this time in Igabi local government area, where two brothers have been reportedly killed by bandits during an attack. The victims, Maikudu Hussaini and Nafiu Hussaini, were reportedly shot dead when the bandits attacked Gida Maikudi Hamlet, a herder's settlement in Kerawa ward of Igabi local government area, in an attempt to kidnap residents. While Maikudi died instantly, his brother Nafi was said to have died in hospital from gunshot wounds. The State Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Aruwan, confirmed that local vigilante in the community mobilized to repel the attack, and in the ensuing gunfight beat back the bandits who withdrew with several casualties. He, however, disclosed that security agencies will sustain patrols in the general area in order to stop further attacks. Renowned Islamic scholar Sheikh Ahmed Gumi has lent his voice to the rising cases of banditry and killings across the country, and says bandits in Zamfara state are seeking amnesty from the federal government to enable them lay down their arms. Sheikh Gumi disclosed this while briefing Governor Bello Matawale on the successes recorded during his tour of bandit camps in some local government areas of the state. The Kaduna-based Islamic cleric notes that the bandits are willing to surrender if their conditions are met.
We understand that they have a lot of grievances which could be addressed, and they are ready to lay down their arms. This is the easiest, the safest way to tackle the insecurity that has permeated the region now. Contrary to those who think that there should not be any negotiation with bandits, I don't know who said that. I don't know who said there is no negotiation. There is negotiation, and there has been negotiation. And nobody can tell any Nigerian about this, because we have seen in the previous regime where they have negotiation with Niger militants, Niger Delta militants, in which now they have a ministry, they have a commission to look at their development. So many of them were taken on scholarship to study, and selected peace after that negotiation. So the same thing, if you apply the same formula, the same psychology, and the same ideology, the same thing, we'll have peace, we have hope, we have peace in the tumult areas in the northern states.
Staying with security, police authorities in Edo State police authorities have announced a 10 million naira cash reward for information on 2 suspects captured in a CCTV camera footage at a crime scene. Force Public Relations Officer Frank Kumba, who posted the pictures of the suspects in a post on the police social media handles, said 10 million naira awaits anyone with useful information on the whereabouts of the persons in the photo captured by the CCTV at a crime scene. He, however, did not mention the names of the suspects, neither did he state the crimes committed. And police authorities have arrested some suspects in connection with the kidnap and killing of one Dennis Abuja, an indigene of Fuga in Esako Central Local Government Area of Edo State, who was based in the United States and was visiting his hometown sometime in December, but was reportedly killed in January 2021 following his kidnap. The police maintained the joint efforts of the command, vigilante group, and hunters led to the location of the victim's corpse along the Benin-Aho-Lagos bypass following a report made to the command by some siblings to the late Dennis Abuja.
The body was seen there, and eventually some arrests were made of the hoodlums in connection to this dastardly act. Hopefully they are leading the police with useful information into the investigation. And we must tell you that we must touch every nooks and cranny to ensure that justice is done.
In part 2, after the break, we'll be looking at efforts by global campaign activism to raise awareness in the fight against cancer with the global ambassador of the Cervical Cancer Free Campaign, Otumba Abimbola Ogunbanjo. Stay with us. Welcome back. If it has joined us to watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. 3 more months in the saddle as President Muhammadu Buhari extends tenure of Muhammad Adamu as the Inspector General of Police. Primate of the Anglican Church, Reverend Henry Ndukuba, advocates state policing to end insecurity in the country. Global campaign to raise awareness in the fight against cancer continues as the world commemorates World Cancer Day. And U.S. President Joe Biden delivers his first foreign policy address to move beyond Trump's America First approach to the world. In spite of the furore around COVID-19, cancer is still the world's second leading cause of death after ischemic heart disease. It may not be contagious, but according to the World Health Organization, it accounted for 1 in 6 deaths in 2018. On February 4th, marked as World Cancer Day, experts offer enlightenment on how to reduce the burden. Our correspondent, Mary Alale Yusuf, reports.
2018 WHO statistics say 9.6 million people globally lost the battle to cancer in that year, and the number is growing. 70% of this burden is in low and middle-income countries, a bad situation made worse by the COVID-19 pandemic, since cancer is one of the diseases that lowers immunity, making COVID-19 more deadly. Treatment of cancer with modern equipment yields better results than before, so that mortality rates are better.
It's now, due to research, directed specifically to the cause of that particular cancer.
One of the reasons for the dire situation in Nigeria is late presentation.
80% of our patients comes in stage 3 and stage 4. And anywhere in the world, if you come in stage 3 and stage 4, if you present at stage 3 and stage 4, it's not you can't get curative treatment.
Catching cancer in the early stages means before any ill effects are seen.
In most developed world, on your birthday, you are sent a letter to come for screening. So you don't have to wait to feel the symptoms before you know that something is wrong.
Other reasons for less than desirable results are the lack of centers with facilities such as this one, and the fact that patients have to pay the fees from their pockets, which may run into millions of naira. Experts will tell you that rather than speak of causes, they point to predisposing factors like advancing age, family history, smoking and drinking. But a few cancers are caused by viruses. Liver and cervical cancers fall into this category. There is now a vaccine for the human papilloma virus, which causes cervical cancer.
A human papilloma virus is linked to sexual activity. So you want to give this vaccine to prevent a child developing, having this infection, which can subsequently lead to the cancer. So it's usually given between as early as 9 years to like 12 to 13 years for girls. Also useful in boys. 2 ways. One is the fact that it prevents head and neck cancer. HPV can also lead to head and neck cancer in boys. So it prevents them from developing this cancer. And 2, if a boy is vaccinated such that he doesn't have this infection, invariably will not infect a girl.
With longer life expectancy, the Union for International Cancer Control and the WHO state that 1 in every 5 people may develop cancer. 1 in 8 men and 1 in 11 women will die of it.
This cancer center at Luth is reputed to be the best in West Africa. And experts say that people who report here early in their cancer journey can get cured. But for certain cancers, like that of the cervix, vaccination is key for prevention.
For something so common and so expensive to treat, experts are asking the government to put cancer screening and treatment under national health insurance coverage. Mary Alale Yusuf, Channels Television News.
Joining us now is Global Ambassador of the Cervical Cancer-Free Nigeria campaign and President of the National Council of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, Otumba Abimbola Ogunbanjo, joins us now virtually. Thank you for joining us on the News at 10.
Thank you for having me.
We just heard Mary's report, and it paints a bleak picture of the treatment of cancer, especially here in Nigeria. How troubling is the case in the country, and cervical cancer in particular, for which you are a global ambassador in a campaign to make Nigeria cervical cancer-free?
Well, you're probably aware that Nigeria is a middle-income country, albeit it has the largest economy in Africa. Most unfortunately, despite our wealth, strong educational system, and cultural richness, the rate of cancer death in Nigeria is high and steadily climbing. Lack of cancer prevention efforts and cancer screening opportunities, which prevent cancer or catch it early before it has, had a chance to spread, means that most Nigerians who develop cancer miss the window in which the cancer can be cured. They present to the doctor or hospital when it is often too late. Very advanced cancer, suffering in pain, and with very few options. In the case of cervical cancer, over 95% of all cervical cancers are caused by a virus called the human papillomavirus, or HPV. This virus is very common. About 85% of all people in the world are infected with the virus at some point in their lives. So only a subset of people who get infected will get cancer. The most common HPV-related cancer is cervical cancer. And in many countries, the rate of cervical cancer deaths is extremely low. These countries have achieved this low rate of cervical cancer death in two ways. One, they prevent HPV-related cancers by giving children a vaccine against HPV. This vaccine is one of the safest and most effective vaccines in the world. Two, they screen for cervical cancer so it can be caught early, the time when it can be cured with relative ease. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, we neither vaccinate for HPV on a broad basis, nor do we routinely screen for cervical cancer. This is why over 10,000 Nigerian women died of cervical cancer needlessly last year. This is my goal, to stop this cancer in its tracks. In my lifetime, I'm committed to eradicating cervical cancer in Nigeria.
And what has been the level of collaboration that your organization has received from governments and the private sector in investing in access to treatments and care for victims of cancer?
Well, to address such a dire and large problem requires effective and efficient collaborations. Our campaign is coordinated by Global Oncology, US-based non-profit organization that works all over the world. Other partners have included members of the Nigerian government, Nigerian non-profits, entertainers, writers, journalists, health advocates, and business leaders. As a grassroots effort, we've shown that we can accomplish amazing things in the realm of cancer education, raising vaccine awareness with relatively limited funds. Now is the time for additional collaborators to join our efforts and for all of us to double down on our commitment to the health and well-being of all Nigerians. We have it in our power to eradicate cervical cancer in our lifetimes. It would certainly be a true tragedy if we do not seize this golden opportunity.
And just for the sake of putting this information out there, how often should people screen for the various cancers, or is one screening just enough for the whole year?
Well, right now the HPV vaccine is available in a limited capacity in private hospitals. This means, regrettably, that only those of significant means have access to the vaccine, whereas the vast majority of Nigerians who depend on government-supported vaccination do not have access. So part one of our campaign involves supporting the planned national rollout of the HPV vaccine as per the National Cancer Control Plan. The HPV vaccine was to be rolled out nationwide in 2021. Of course, when that plan was put in place, no one could have known that we would be in the middle of a pandemic. Yet, on the heels of a very successful polio virus vaccination campaign, we anticipate a potential joint HPV COVID vaccination campaign could be equally successful. Part two of our campaign involves educating Nigerians about cancer, as well as the safety and efficacy of the HPV vaccine. Education is much more palatable and memorable when it is entertaining. Thus, we've developed a comic book and a very exciting 10-minute comic book video that teaches Nigerians of all ages about these important health awareness topics. Anyone can access this video on our website, cervicalcancerfree.org, and can easily learn about these topics. Hope with appropriate support and funding to translate the comic into local Nigerian languages, including Hausa, Yoruba, and Igbo, and are working to distribute the video widely through national and international avenues.
Thank you so much, Otumba Abimbola Ugubanjo, for bringing more awareness to the issue of cancer and, of course, advocating vaccinations for people in Nigeria.
Thank you very much.
And when the news at 10 returns, federal government launches last two schemes of the MSME Survival Fund aimed at reducing the impact of COVID-19 on small businesses. We'll have more in business news. Join us again. Welcome back, and to politics. Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike says Nigerians have now realized that voting the All Progressives Congress into power is a mistake that must be corrected in 2023, as the country, according to him, has become less secure and more divided along ethnic and religious lines. He also alleged that the APC-led federal government has failed in the fight against corruption. Governor Wike stated this in Yola, the Adamawa state capital, where he inspected an overhead bridge and an underground subway being constructed by Governor Ahmadu Fintiri.
Nigerians are not happy. What is the expected result they intend to get? Obviously, Nigeria will want APC government not to govern them in 2023. So, obviously, he cannot tell me with this kind of performance why PDP will not win. It will be difficult. So I believe that Nigerians are now knowing that they have made a mistake and they want to correct the mistake by voting for PDP, no longer APC. This is a government that promised Nigerians that when they come in 2015, the issue of corruption will be fought, the issue of accountability will be focused, and transparency. Now from Transparency International, not we, PDP now, so that let it not be, we have been political. The Transparency International has come out to say it is the worst that they have ever seen. So it's not we speaking now. The word has spoken that this government has not done anything in terms of corruption and transparency. What you see is being vindictiveness. Today, if I want to leave PDP now and go to APC, I will no longer be corrupt. But the moment I remain in PDP, I'm corrupt. So corruption is based on the party you belong to, and that is their own definition of corruption. And that is why everybody is disappointed. Not only corruption, this country has not been divided the way it has been divided under APC. This country has never been insecure like this before.
The arm of the law again caught up with a businessman at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, today, and another man at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos, as officials of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency arrested them with over 3 kilograms of cocaine. Mr. Adeleke Kazeem Biola was arrested at the Lagos Airport with 1.5 kilograms of cocaine on Wednesday, February 3rd, during the outward clearance of passengers on Emirates Airline to Dubai, while Onu Oluchukwu Friday, a Lagos businessman, was caught with 1.5 kilograms of the illicit drug at the Abuja airport. According to the commander, MMIA command of the NDLEA, Mr. Amadou Garba, the suspect, Adeleke, was intercepted at the departure hall of the Lagos airport with a hard drug neatly concealed in a false bottom of his traveling bag. Meanwhile, Mr. Friday was arrested at the departure lounge of the Abuja airport on Thursday, January 28th, during the outward clearance of Ethiopian airline ET 910 en route Abuja, Addis Ababa, New Delhi, India. The 39-year-old suspect proved positive for ingestion and excreted 83 wraps of substances, which later proved positive for cocaine. And here's Terry Kume in Abuja for more on the news at 10. Hi, Terry.
Hello, Amarachi. Welcome to the nation's capital. We begin from the courts here in Abuja, where the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission today alerted a federal high court that Mr. Faisal Maina, son of the former chairman of the defunct Pension Reforms Task Team, Abdurrashid Maina, is on the run to the United States of America. At the resumed trial, lawyer to the anti-graft agency, Mr. Mohammed Abubakar, told the judge, Justice Okonabang, that from the information at the disposal of the commission, Faisal Maina sneaked to the USA through the Republic of Niger, despite his Nigerian and American passports still with the registry of the court. Lawyer to Mr. Faisal Maina disputed the claim by the prosecution, insisting that his client was arrested by the Nigeria Police Force in Sokoto. He urged the court to open an inquiry to determine the whereabouts of his client. Earlier in the course of the sitting, Justice Okonabang, in a committal proceeding, ordered Faisal Shority Sani Dangaladima, who is a member of the House of Representatives representing Kara Namuda in Zamfara State, to forfeit a 60 million naira property used as bail bond. The case has been adjourned to the 31st of March 2021. Meanwhile, another federal high court in Abuja today also ordered that hearing notice be served on the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Representative Femi Gbajabiamila, to appear in court over a suit seeking to sack former Speaker Yakubu Dogara. At the resumed hearing, the People's Democratic Party, through its counsel, Chris Uche, claimed that Speaker Gbajabiamila had refused to be served the court processes, even though he was listed as one of the respondents in the suit, alongside the All Progressives Congress and INEC. Away from the court now, members of the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, SANU, and the Non-Academic Staff Union of Universities, NASU, have directed all their branches nationwide to down tools beginning 12 midnight tomorrow, Friday, February the 5th. A copy of the notice, which was made available to Channel's television correspondent, notes that the outcome of Tuesday's meeting with the federal government was not convincing enough to allow the union suspend the planned industrial action. The striking universities workers are protesting the non-payment of arrears of minimum wage for their members, the non-payment of earned allowances, sharing formula used for the 40 billion naira the federal government released to the universities as earned academic allowances, as well as the inconveniences caused by the Integrated Payroll Personal Information System IPS. The Minister of Labour and Employment had on Tuesday convened a meeting with a view to prevent the planned strike. Well, that's it from Abuja. Back to you, Amarachi.
Thank you, Terry. Here, at least one person has been confirmed killed, 5 others injured in a midnight fire incident at the Gwarimpa Tepa Garage Market in Abuja. The fire, which started at about 1 in the morning, razed all the shops in the market, destroying most of the goods sold by traders. Our correspondent, Emperor Simon, has more.
A sad day for traders at the Gwarimpa Tepa Garage Market. Hundreds of shops razed, leaving only rubble on the ground. The fire, which started at midnight, is still burning as at the time of filing this report, with traders watching helplessly. An official of the market union says they made efforts to put out the fire, but failed.
We people in the market, we ready to destroy the light, but the thing pass our power.
It's a bitter experience for the traders who are asking for government support.
I don't know what to do, because everywhere, anywhere at all. Everywhere, everybody's crying. I just come back market on Tuesday. I never been, and I don't get anybody to help. I'm a widow with 7 children, for 20 years now.
According to the FCT Fire Service, not much could have been done to salvage the situation due to lack of access into the market.
What we did best professionally was to protect the adjacent buildings that share boundary with the market. No accessible roads inside the market. The only small one that was present, it was covered over with fire.
A delegation led by the FCT Minister of State, Ramoto Aliu, visits the scene of the incident, and according to her, while government sympathizes with the victims, efforts will be made to enforce existing urban laws.
We need to sit to look at the real drawing of Abuja to see how other markets will also be upgraded, and then the existing markets will be looked into holistically to ensure that all these provisions are made.
While the traders in this market are gnashing their teeth over their losses, scrap pickers are also busy trying to make ends meet by picking whatever is worth a penny from the rubbles left. From the Gwarinpa Tipa Garage Market in Abuja, Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
To the southwest now, the Abuja State Police Command has confirmed an attack by hoodlums suspected to be members of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra on its divisional headquarters in Onitsha local government area of the state. The State Police Command said in a statement that hoodlums set ablaze the left wing of the division and 4 patrol vehicles. The statement adds that the proscribed group had earlier alleged the police were protecting Fulani herdsmen whom they accused of being responsible for the killing of one of their members. A policeman sustained machete-cut injuries during the attack and is currently in hospital. Business News is next. Here's Anne Mawudo.
Thanks a lot, Amarachi. Welcome to Business News. The impact of the COVID-19 pandemic is still taking a toll on small and medium businesses, but the federal government is now promising to sustain its intervention to the sector to harness its potential. The Minister of State for Industry, Trade and Investment, Mariam Katagum, who gave the assurance at the launch of 2 interventions for the MSME sectors in Abuja, explains that while the Guarantee Takeoff Scheme targets a total of 100,000 MSMEs with a total grant of between 50,000 naira to 100,000 naira, the general MSME grant targets small businesses who are unable to access previous interventions for the sector.
In line with the plan to fully rejuvenate the economy, especially micro, small, and medium enterprises, the federal government is set to roll out the last 2 components of the MSME Survival Fund. And these are the Guaranteed Offtake Scheme and the General MSME Grant. Under these components, the portal will open from 11:59 p.m., let's just say midnight, on Tuesday, 9th February 2021, and it will remain open till Thursday, 18th February, for the Guaranteed Offtake Scheme and General MSME grant applications. All interested MSMEs can go directly to the portal and register for either of the schemes free of charge.
About $108 billion has been generated by the Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas Company since it started operation about 21 years ago. An official of the NLNG, Mrs. Eyono Fatai Williams, made this known at a briefing with members of the House of Representatives Committee on Gas. Giving a scorecard of the company, Mrs. Fatai Williams explains that the NLNG had given out about $35 billion in dividends to its shareholders and paid $8 billion in taxes to the Nigerian government within 2 decades of operation. She also says the company has delivered 5,000 LNG cargoes around the world and delivered 23 dedicated LNG ships to ensure smooth operation with installed assets worth $11 billion. Let's head to Nigeria's stock market, which remains in the red for the 4th consecutive day this week, as it ended today's trading session slightly negative out of 24 losers against 21 gainers. Laddie Williams has the details for us.
Hello, welcome to the Stock Market Report. I'm quite disappointed today with the modulation seen yesterday. I thought the market would have been in the green, but that did not happen. The bear still very much present, pushed the all-share index further down into the negative, falling below the 42,000 level by 0.51%. Honestly, we're yet to ascertain if this is the start of a market correction or just a temporary pullback before another rally. But one thing is certain, the expectation for dividend payout still continues to drive investor sentiment towards the market, at least for now. The uptick in the bond market yield is also not expected to last, so investors will continue to take position in the equities. Take a look at the activity chart today. Quite some bargain hunting there with a valuation of almost 8 billion naira recorded. Well, we still have one more trading day to go, but even at that, I won't be wrong if I describe this week as a bear week. Let's see what tomorrow holds. It's back to you.
And that's Business News Tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu. It's back to you, Amarachi.
Thanks, Anne. U.S. President Joe Biden has delivered his first foreign policy speech since assuming office on January 20th. The president called for immediate release of Kremlin critic Alexei Navalny, respect for his rights under Russia's constitution, and called for democracy to be restored in Myanmar. He also stated that the U.S. can work with China on American terms and terms of international rules, while his administration will confront China's economic abuses. President Biden also declared that diplomacy, is back at the center of America's foreign policy. Here's Simon Pusey with more international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Myanmar's military rulers have blocked access to Facebook days after they overthrew the democratic government of Nobel Peace Prize winner Aung San Suu Kyi. Officials said the social media platform, which for many in Myanmar is the only access to the internet, would be blocked for the sake of stability. Facebook has become a key rallying point for the opposition to Monday's coup. In further civil disobedience, lawmakers are refusing to leave their compound in the capital, and more pot banging was seen in the city of Yangon. The coup, led by the armed forces chief, installed an 11-member junta, ending a short period of majority civilian rule. The military said an election in November had been fraudulent, though the country's election commission said there was no evidence of such fraud. In the US, Republicans in the House of Representatives have refused to publish a newly elected congresswoman over controversial and incendiary rhetoric. Marjorie Taylor Greene has promoted unfounded conspiracy theories and shown support for violence against Democrats. House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy condemned the remarks, but said they were made before she was elected. Democrats who control the chamber say they will vote to expel her from the Education and Budget committees. Ms. Greene was elected in November and is widely known for expressing support for QAnon, a bizarre conspiracy theory that former President Donald Trump was waging a war on a cabal of child abusers. A bipartisan report to the US Congress has said the state should extend the May the 1st deadline for pulling all its troops out of Afghanistan. The US agreed to pull its troops from the country by May the 1st in an agreement with the Taliban. However, the Afghanistan Study Group says a military drawback should be contingent on peace talks. US officials say such talks have stalled. The Taliban denies this and has threatened to resume attacks on foreign forces if they remain in Afghanistan past the May the 1st deadline. According to the report, withdrawing all US troops could lead to civil war, destabilize the region, and reinvigorate the terrorist organization. A former child Ugandan soldier who became a commander of the rebel Lord's Resistance Army has been convicted of dozens of crimes, including widespread rape, child abductions, torture, and murder. Dominic Ongwen was found guilty by the International Criminal Court of 61 out of 70 alleged counts of war crimes and crimes against humanity. A hearing in mid-April will consider a possible sentence which could be up to life imprisonment, with the decision expected later this year. Judges at the court said Ongwen had acted out of free will in committing innumerable crimes between 2002 and 2005.
The overwhelming evidence.
An Iranian diplomat has been convicted of a plot to bomb a big French rally held by an exiled opposition group. Asadollah Assadi, who worked at the Iranian embassy in Vienna, was given a 20-year jail term by the court in Antwerp in Belgium. It was the first time an Iranian official had faced such charges in the EU since the 1979 Iranian Revolution. Tens of thousands of people attended the June 2018 rally outside Paris, including Donald Trump's lawyer, Rudy Giuliani. The verdict comes weeks after US President Joe Biden took office, with Iran hoping he will reverse some of the sanctions introduced by his predecessor. The UK has launched a trial to test the effectiveness of mixing two different COVID-19 vaccines. Participants will be given one vaccine dose followed by a second booster shot of a different vaccine. The trial will combine the AstraZeneca Oxford University vaccine with the Pfizer-BioNTech one. Scientists will assess the participants' immune response as well as monitor for any unexpected side effects. The results are expected in June. British researchers said the study was crucial for understanding whether vaccines can be rolled out with greater flexibility around the world. The head of the Tokyo Olympics Organising Committee has apologised for making inappropriate remarks about women after calls for his resignation. The 83-year-old Yoshiro Mori retracted the comments but said he was not planning to stand down. The Games chief was earlier quoted as saying women talk too much and the meetings with many female board directors would take a lot of time. The Olympic Committee board currently has 24 members, 5 of whom are women. In 2019, the committee set itself a goal of increasing the number of female board directors to 40%. And finally, diners in Malaysia can now devour meals from inside their cars after a restaurant opened a drive-in service for people who are longing to dine out.
So every food also served with...
In the outskirts of the capital, Kuala Lumpur, customers can drive to the parking lot of the Paddy House restaurant, ordering and enjoying their food without leaving their car. Each set meal comes with a customised tray to fit in the narrow space between the driver's seat and the steering wheel, enabling the customers to enjoy their meal without hassle. The owner said he was inspired by airline meals after business dropped 80% due to the pandemic. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Many thanks, Simon. Katsina United have denied Rivers United a chance to reclaim top spot in the Nigeria Professional Football League Matchday 8 tie played at the Mohammed Dikko Stadium in Katsina earlier this evening. The Port Harcourt-based team were hoping to return to the top of the table barely 24 hours after Enyimba International of Aba moved up for the first time this season. But that was not to be, as Faisal Sani handed the hosts the lead within 5 minutes of the first half. Well, the hosts further extended the scoreline some 14 minutes later. Well, the game between Heartland FC and Ifeanyi Ubah ended 1-0 at the Dan Anyam Stadium in Owerri. Former Super Eagles striker Odion Igalo has joined Saudi Arabian Pro League club Al Shabab on a 2.5-year deal after he passed his medicals earlier today. The former Manchester United player linked up with the Saudi League leaders from Chinese Super League outfit Shanghai Shenhua. Igalo scored 10 goals in 19 appearances for Shanghai Shenhua, helping them to the 2019 Chinese FA Cup. In England, it's back-to-back wins for Chelsea manager Thomas Tuchel following a 1-0 win against Jose Mourinho's Tottenham at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Chelsea's Jorginho scored from the penalty spot on the 24th minute of the first half after Eric Dyer fouled Timo Werner in the penalty spot. Australian Open Tournament Director Craig Tiley insists there were no plans to change the schedule for the first Grand Slam of the year, which will serve off next week. The draw for the tournament has been pushed back to Friday, while crowds are still expected to be in attendance for the major. And that sports news is back to you, Marachi.
Thank you, Ayatunde. And the main news again. President Muhammadu Buhari today extended the tenure of Mr. Mohammed Adamu as the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, by 3 months. The extension, according to the Minister of Police Affairs, Mohammed Dingyadi, is to give room for proper selection. That's it on the news at 10 tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Amarachi Ubani. Good night and stay safe.